Detroit got better, whether it was retaining Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn or extending St. Brown, signing Sewell to a big contract. They just signed Decker to a 3-year, $60 million contract. We know players like Alex Anzalone were willing to take less money to stay in Detroit. It's not just the fact that they have really good players and really good chemistry, but the love for the city. These guys love Detroit, and it's really cool to see being someone who grew up a Lions fan and sort of stopped paying so much attention to them and really focused on college football for a long time, to see them doing so well and coming off a season where they probably should have been playing in the Super Bowl had they not blown a giant lead in the NFC Championship to the 49ers. I mean, how crazy was it? They opened the year at the defending Super Bowl champions field, go to Kansas City and beat them, and then come so close to getting to the Super Bowl in a rematch of that earlier season game. Jared Goff making $53 million a year, and he deserves every penny of it. Since he's gotten to Detroit, he's been a great player. I know it was a little shaky early, when things weren't going so great, but last couple of years really settled in. Him and Ben Johnson are clicking on all cylinders, and then with the way that they've been able to draft, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, that was a huge, huge snag at number 2. Still can't believe the Jaguars didn't take him at number 1. Picking up Jack Campbell this past year, them addressing, the reason they've gotten better, look at what they did. They drafted Rakestraw in the second round, and then you get Arnold in the first round. You sign Carlton Davis away from Tampa. It's just incredible to see how good this team is. I don't remember the last time Detroit fans were so excited for a season to start. This is incredible. Everybody from top to bottom on the roster, you can say, okay, that guy's a solid player. That guy's a solid player. Having a 1-2 punch with Gibbs and Montgomery, sort of that thunder and lightning combo behind, which is arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. I mean, you have Ragnow making $14 million a year, Decker now $20 million, Sewell $28 million. You have Glasgow there. You sign Kevin Zeitler away from Baltimore. An older guy, but someone who's been very productive in his career. People want to say, oh, well, the Eagles, the Eagles have the best line. And there's an argument there, but Lane Johnson's getting older. Jason Kelsey just retired. I mean, this offensive line with a young tight end and Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff, Ben Johnson coming back. It's this offense is going to be insane. And it's so cool that Detroit opens with the Rams and then they play the Bucs, the two teams they beat in the playoffs last year. That's really cool. I like that the NFL did that and they made that schedule. But the offense was great last year. The problem was the secondary, and they addressed it head on. 2 draft picks, the first 2 draft picks, corners, Carlton Davis. Now we're going to get to see Emmanuel Mosley's going to be healthy. Brian Branch, another draft pick. Kirby Joseph, Melifonwu. You just go down the list. They have depth. They have great players. Them signing Marcus Davenport and DJ Reader to finally help Hutchinson on that defensive line. And you have Aleem McNeil going into another year. It's going to be really interesting to see how much pressure and attention is taken off of Aiden Hutchinson now that Marcus Davenport is at the other side of the defensive line. Because now you can't just solely focus your attention on him, right? I mean, you have another threat, another edge rusher that can get home and cause chaos. It's just crazy to me how everything, because there was some question marks about, well, what are they going to do with, St. Brown? What are they going to do with Sewell, Decker? What are they going to do with all these contracts? And it was just, we're going to sign them. We're going to give them a bag, and they're going to stay in Detroit. Because there was so much noise, and the Lions organization was just like, nope, it's really not a problem. We're keeping them here. And now we're going to get to have Jameson Williams for a full year, right? Because the suspension last year with the gambling. David Montgomery going into another year in Detroit. And Jahmyr Gibbs, because we didn't get to see him a lot earlier in the year until he had that breakout game against the Raiders. Now him having some NFL experience, being seasoned. That Thunder and Lightning combo, those two backs are going to absolutely destroy behind that offensive line. And with Ben Johnson calling the plays. I feel like you could make an argument for the Lions, depending on the first couple of games of the year. Do they have a top 5 offense, top 3 offense? Dare I say the best offense, at least on paper? Definitely an argument to be had there, but this offensive line, you have a young tight end in Laporta who absolutely tore it up last year. And I know people have varying opinions on, what is he? Is he like a top 6 tight end? He's a top 8, this, that, the other. Kid's really good. He's only going to get better. He's had a full year in Ben Johnson's offense. And there's just so many people to worry about. When you're watching film on these guys, if you're watching it from a defensive perspective of, okay, well, I got to stop Gibbs and Montgomery, but the O-line's really good. Okay, but then they're going to go to play action, and then they can hit Laporta on certain things. They have Jameson Williams, who's a deep threat. Amon-Ra St. Brown creates separation in the slot every single time. Because if you want to defend one of the guys, you're going to have to give up something else, and then someone else is going to be open. Some other gap's going to open up in the run game. It's going to be so critical for opposing defenses to get 3 and outs on this team. Because this offense gets rolling and they start clicking and they get in that flow state, it's going to be damn near impossible to stop. And expect the defense to get more 3 and outs this year. Again, Marcus Davenport, DJ Reader, 2 huge signings on the defensive line. And the secondary just getting a complete redo. CJ Gardner-Johnson heads back to Philly. Trying to think right now of, what was it? Ennis Rakestraw. That kid's really good. I feel like he's very underrated, and I understand he was a 2nd-round draft pick, and he's been talked about very highly. I think he's going to do great things. Year 1 for the Lions. And Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, that is such an exciting duo. We've seen Kirby, man. He is not afraid of contact. He does a great job of reading the quarterback's eyes, specifically, Aaron Rodgers the past couple of years. I keep thinking of that Brian Branch pick 6 opening game against the Chiefs. Now, I know Kadarius Toney tipped it to him, but just really good players all around. And the Lions are a team this year that could win 12, 13 games. And it's weird to say because they were up by so much in that NFC Championship game, and they blew it, and they should have went to a Super Bowl. But they got better. They got even better than a year ago. So very, very high on Detroit. Them retaining Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, players loving Dan Campbell. There not being any drama with, are they going to be able to re-sign Goff and extend him, and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell. It was just, nope, here's your money. You're staying here. That was big. That's big for the players and the coaches and the staff and the office to not have any of that drama and just, we like you, we want you to stay here. The players want to stay there. It's big. So probably going to be the most exciting year for the Lions in a very, very long time. Expectations at an all-time high. Now, the 49ers, still great. Eagles, still great. Packers got better. The Bears got a lot better. The NFC North is going to be a gauntlet this year. Very tough every single game. Even the Vikings. So we'll see, but Lions could definitely, they could be the 1 seed in the NFC. Again, the Eagles and the Niners are still star-studded top to bottom, but definitely a reason to be very optimistic about this team's chances of winning a Super Bowl. And it still feels weird to say that about the Lions, but One of the best teams in the NFL for sure. Staff, office, players. It's going to be an exciting year.